Books that I wish I could unread. What's going on, friends, family, and intimate reading associates? Books that I wish I could unread. Now, you all saw the title. You're probably a little bit concerned. Don't worry, these are just categories that I've come up for myself to keep me on track. Disclaimer, everything that you hear in this video is my opinion. I'm not claiming anything as a fact. I'm not claiming anything as the absolute truth. I'm stating to you my personal feelings towards some of these novels. First things first, we're gonna start with the good. Now, these are books that I wish I could unread so that I could read them for the very first time. Now, when coming up with this portion of the list, it was a little bit hard to narrow things down, but I think I narrowed it down to 7 books that I think absolutely, yeah, these are the ones. First of those being A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. This is the 3rd book in the epic fantasy series known as A Song of Ice and Fire. I understand it's unfinished. I'm gonna get off of George's back about that. I think that everybody else should too. Anywho, this book is one of the greatest fantasy novels. It may be the greatest fantasy novel that I have ever read. It is that compelling, that good. The pacing, the characters, the writing, the world, everything is so lush and vivid and real. To be honest, it kind of ruined fantasy for me. I think after I read that novel, there was a slow decline in my interest of fantasy because nothing could hold my attention unless it was something great like Lord of the Rings or The Witcher or The Dark Tower by Stephen King. There is just something about A Storm of Swords that gripped me from beginning to end. For those of you who have read the series, you know what I'm talking about. There is something on another level with A Storm of Swords. I really do wish I could get the time back so I could reinvest it in reading it for the first time. Book 2 is, this was really hard to narrow it down, but Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. Now, I don't talk about Red Rising as often as I should on this channel, but Red Rising is one of the greatest science fiction stories of all time. You're thrust into this story of color-coded caste system where people are literally broken down into their colors. It's all about one individual infiltrating the very top, the elite of the elites, and tearing the system down from the inside out. And Lightbringer is the 6th book in that entire series. That series was one of those series where it felt like every book got better. Lightbringer is my favorite. Lightbringer is my absolute favorite Red Rising novel, and it's probably the most thrilling book I've ever read. When it comes to anything thriller, anything fast-paced, anything that keeps your attention and it's just go, 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 nothing beats Lightbringer. Nothing beats Lightbringer. It has one of the most gut-wrenching scenes Pierce Brown has ever come up with. Bawled like a baby, and I wish I could get the time back so that I could go through that all over again. Don't know what the secret sauce is that he's pumping in there, but man, is it working. Number 3 is Pat Conroy's The Prince of Tides. You knew this book was gonna be on this list. Yes, I do wish I could unread this book simply for the fact of rediscovering the immense love that I have for Pat Conroy. I've spoken about this book nonstop since I read it. It was utterly life-changing. I had never experienced prose in that manner before. Pat Conroy is a true wordsmith. He ruined everyone else's writing for me. He ruined it. The only ones that come close to scratching that Conroy itch for me would be guys like maybe Larry McMurtry and classics. Just name a classic, throw it at the wall. A book about a family and their generational saga and their generational struggles and their generational trauma. The book has everything and anything in it. Trigger warnings all day long. But it's one of the most beautiful and compelling stories you'll ever read about a brother who's willing to do anything for his twin sister and siblings that are willing to do anything for each other. Utter perfection. Speaking of Larry McMurtry, number 4, Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove! Oh my gosh. I don't even know how to formulate words. Chef's kiss. 11 out of 10. When it comes to any book that I've ever read, I don't know. Lonesome Dove is just one of those stories about a journey like no other. I mean, you follow 2 retired Texas Rangers and them embarking on one last final journey of their lives as they head out on a cattle drive from the border of Mexico and Texas to the sparsely inhabited Montana territory. Cattle drive. What's interesting about a cattle drive? Everything is interesting about a cattle drive. You will not find a better duo in all of fiction, and Larry McMurtry has a way of sucking you in with the way he tells the story that you can't help but be enraptured, even if it's a 50-page monologue, what to put on a wooden sign. I may exaggerate with 50 pages, but knowing Larry, that's right on the money. Nothing beats how insanely epic this journey is. By the end of it, you're just heartbroken because you don't have enough time left. I wish I could get just one shot at rereading that book for the very first time and not know anything about it. Number 5 is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. Freaking love this book, but unfortunately, it ruined any other romance novel's chance. This is my favorite romance novel. Now, that is kind of crazy because I am filming a Jane Austen video right now. We'll see how I feel after that. As it stands right now, Gone with the Wind is the best, but it's more than that. It is historical fiction. We are following one of the most prolific romance heroines in fiction as she goes through, well, the Civil War and the ramifications of the Reconstruction period. Gosh, I wish I could reread this book for the first time. It is something you really have to sit with. You have to really just let Margaret Mitchell cook. She'll make you fall in love with Scarlett. She'll make you hate Scarlett. She'll make you feel everything about Scarlett at the same time because she's that complex. Not since Romeo and Juliet or Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. You do not get as incredible a duo. Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett Butler they have to be up there. What a book. What a book. I could keep going, but it ruined an entire genre for me for a very long time. And that's why I wish I could reread it because it's that good. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Number 6. The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Of all of the works of fiction that I've reread the most, Tolkien's Legendarium. I've read The Hobbit dang near 10 times. I've read The Lord of the Rings to completion dang near 6 times. The Silmarillion and I have a very interesting relationship, but I'm working on that. Wink, wink. But The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien is probably one of the greatest stories ever written. It is mythical, it is grand, it is epic, it is so much bigger than anything that fantasy has ever concocted before or since. It is perfect, it is wonderful, it is amazing, it is majestic. I mean, I could keep going. The first time you sit with this story, you will cry and weep because you will never have an experience with reading a book like you will ever have with The Lord of the Rings for the very first time. And I guarantee that. And I wish I could get it back. But the thing is, it's also one of those novels that every single time I pick it up, it does feel like the first time because I'm still just blown away and wowed at this man's imagination. Just nothing in fantasy will ever come close to Lord of the Rings. You just don't get better than Tolkien. But there is maybe one title that I wish I could unread and reread for the first time above all other stories. And that is number 7. Alexander Dumas' The Count of Monte Cristo. Where to begin? The Count of Monte Cristo is the greatest story ever written. Greatest fictional work ever put to the page. And I know, my favorite book of all time, I will say my favorite book of all time is The Stand, but it really is tied with The Count of Monte Cristo. I cannot pick between those two stories. They are equal in my estimation. But The Stand, whatever. I'll reread it and who cares? The Count of Monte Cristo is one book that I wish I could get the time back and take as much time as humanly possible to sit with Dumas and his wonderful characters, his excellent story about revenge and redemption and faith and forgiveness. It is so powerful. It will absolutely change you from the inside out. It is a transformative, transcendent novel. To this day, I want to just always stop what I'm reading and put my hand at the count over and over and over again. And I do wish I could unread it because, well, it kind of ruined a lot for me because nothing quite compares. But you know what? Okay, folks, hang on. I understand we're mid-list, but I'm hungry. So in that case, would anybody? So in that case, oh gosh. So in that case, would anybody? Oh my gosh. So in that case, would anybody be upset if we jumped into today's sponsor? Hungry Root. What am I saying? The vast majority of you just skipped ahead. Hungry Root is a grocery delivery service that brings healthy food, recipes, and even meal planning right to your doorstep. They're like a personal shopper and a nutritionist at the same time. They take care of absolutely everything so you don't have to. All you have to do is tell Hungry Root your dietary preferences and they get everything put together. They make it a priority to fill your cart with personalized recommendations. And the absolute best part is that almost every single meal that comes inside of these boxes can be made in under 15 minutes. You're absolutely guaranteed by Hungry Root to have 0 zero junk ingredients, artificial flavors, or nasty freaking preservatives. Top quality is guaranteed every single time. Unread has honestly been a game changer for my wife and I. If you didn't know, my dear sweet wife has something that's known as an autoimmune disease, which means she has certain dietary restrictions. And with that has come the struggle of trying to find something that she can eat while also enjoy. And with Unread, they made it so incredibly easy to fit every single dietary parameter and restriction to a T. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus a free item in every single box for life when you click the link down below in the description, or you just head on over to Unread.com and use the code Gubeli to take advantage of this sweet, sweet deal. Let's get back to the books, y'all. That's just the beginning, folks. Now we're on to the bad. Oh, right, bad. These are books that were the wrong book for me at the wrong time. And there's only 3 of them in this category because I've thought about it, I've thought about my comments online, and I've thought about my opinions on certain books, and I've realized some of the reviews I've given have been wildly unfair. I think the novel that I have to say I'm sorry to the most is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I know the magnitude of this story. I know how impactful it's been for so many countless readers. Frankenstein is both a gothic novel, a horror novel, and a science fiction novel. It is quite incredible. It's compelling. My discrepancies with it were superficial. I didn't connect well with it, but it's my fault. I think now I'm in a place where if I were to reread Frankenstein, I think I would walk away with a very healthy appreciation of it. You know, there's that one plot hole to deal with, but it's a time discrepancy with the story. It's not anything to do with any of the themes that Mrs. Shelley tackles in the novel. I do remember thinking the prose was incredible, but I do also remember the book being very bleak. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've read a more hopeless novel, but I know that's the point. I was wholeheartedly unfair. Just like I said, wrong book, wrong time. Okay, number 2. I'm not apologizing to the fan base. I'm apologizing to the book. And that is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. The reason I'm not apologizing to the Cormac McCarthy fans is because you people were awful. Maybe I didn't give the greatest reasons for my dislike of The Road. You guys don't make me want to read any more Cormac McCarthy because of just how utterly despicable you were to me about my own feelings. You yelling at me in the comments and calling me all sorts of terrible things and saying I'm an idiot and that I missed the point. You guys insulted my person instead of my review. And that's why I haven't come close to Cormac McCarthy's work since. But The Road as a novel, I still have problems with it. I didn't connect with his writing. And I understand his writing is very postmodern and he's very artistic with it. I just didn't appreciate it, okay? Can you just let me say that? I didn't appreciate it at all. It just wasn't the right time for The Road. I didn't care for the setting or the characters. And again, that's on me. That has nothing to do with Mr. McCarthy. That's not me saying his works are bad. I'm just saying that this was the wrong book at the wrong time. Last and certainly not least for this section is Brandon Sanderson's The Final Empire. Now this is the first novel in the beginning of his Mistborn era books. Oh man. I still stand by my opinions of this novel. I didn't like the main character. I certainly didn't like Sanderson's prose. I mean, it's just not the writing style I like to read, and I gave his writing style more than just Mistborn. I did attempt The Way of Kings, and I got 300 plus pages into it, and I still just cannot connect with this man's writing. To be honest, it's not the kind of fantasy that I like to read. I just don't like the magic, I don't like the characters, I don't like the world, and I just don't find any of it interesting. Give me that opinion. I know it breaks a lot of your hearts. That doesn't mean it's not interesting to you, but here's the thing. It's not garbage. The thing is, The Final Empire is a book that I struggled for 7 years in a row to start and finish. I started it 7 straight years in a row and never finished it. I'm not gonna guarantee you that Sanderson's gonna make any more appearances on this channel, but as it stands, I will never go back to Mistborn. The Final Empire, it was the wrong book at the wrong time. Not a bad book, but you know what is bad? Our next section of books. Ugly is wasted time I'll never get back. This was pure waste of time. The first of those is American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. Yes, I know the point. The mixture of daily mundanity mixed with utter, brutal, grotesque sexual violence is the point. I get that. And I know he was trying to do this critique on, you know, overconsumption and consumerism in the 1980s. But Oh my gosh, couldn't you have done it in a better way? What an atrocious way to get a point across. That book was awful. I don't care about these rich men. They're talking about their stupid cufflinks, or their stupid gold watches, or their dumb socks, or their shiny fetching shoes, or their pleaty pleats, or their stupid pants, and their stupid suits, and their dumb memberships, and their dumb saunas, and their dumb massage parlors, and their stupid haircuts. I don't give a fetch. But maybe that's the point, right? Yeah, no, this book is still bad. I shouldn't have never read it. I wasted an entire evening. I'll never get it back. So that's why we don't read bad books on this channel. That's why I don't fetch around with stuff I know I'm not gonna like. Book 2, The Castle by Franz Kafka. I do feel bad saying this because Kafka died before he could finish the book. It's pretty much a first draft, but I hated absolutely every single minute of it. And I think if he did get to develop the story, I still think I would have hated it because our main character is sent to this remote village next to this castle, and our main character, Kay, he's there to survey something for this count, and he has to just go talk to the count at the castle and get his job done. Oh, but wouldn't you know it, he gets there too late, and oh, wouldn't you know it, he has to sleep at the end instead of the castle. But then he wakes up. Rest of the book, the entire fetching village stops this man. Not even maliciously, they're just stupid and ignorant, and I just wanted to punch every single man, woman, and child in the face. And I get it, the book is all about the futility of life. The castle was so bad. And I'll never get that time back. Number 3 on Ugly is Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Silver Flames. Yes, I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I read the entire series, every book that's out so far, and oh my gosh, Silver Flames is absolute drivel. The entire book is just a plot disguised to talk about sex. I would gauge probably 55% of that book is just sexual content. Let's be honest. That's excessive. If you don't enjoy reading sexual content, you will find yourself skipping chapters. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember the plot, but I don't remember really liking it all that much. Honestly, that book was totally unnecessary. If you're familiar with the series as a whole, those first 3 novels, they're a complete cohesive story. You don't need anything after that. It's probably just a cash grab, and it was like 700 pages long. What an atrocious waste of my time. 4 is Cottonwood by Scott Phillips. You guys have heard me rant about this book recently. Cottonwood, this is historical fiction crime set in a Western backdrop. We are in 1870s Kansas. We follow one of the most stupid main characters. He built his house with his bare hands for him, his wife, and their son to live in. And his wife openly shags the gardener and flaunts it in his face. And the gardener has the gall to threaten him in his own house. And his son treats him like garbage. Just leave. Just leave. No, but he doesn't. He doesn't. That book has a random 20-year jump in the middle of it that I was just like, why? Didn't keep any of the promises that it made me. 5 is Gabrielle Zevin's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Tomorrow times 3. Everybody and their aunt was talking about this book. I got my hands on it, and I was quite excited to read it because the premise sounded interesting. 2 childhood friends develop a video game together and create a multi-million-dollar video game empire. The only good thing about this book is Miss Zevin's prose. She has a way with her words. A woman who was born to write. Her prose is so beautiful, but her characters, I could strangle both of them. There's only one good character in the entire book. You're stuck with Sam and Sadie. They both suck. I dislike every word that comes out of their mouth, every action that they decide to choose. You would think with an interesting concept like that, it really wasn't all that interesting. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow was just, oh my gosh. I know a lot of you are scared to say you don't like this book. Here's your chance. Say it with me. We don't like this book. Next is an entire trilogy, and that's Leigh Bardugo's Shadow and Bone. This is supposed to be Russian-inspired fantasy. And it's the worst excuse for a chosen one I've ever seen. The literal world is collapsing in on itself. The sky is falling in on itself, and our little young protagonist can't decide what boy she likes more. It was the most useless drama, the worst plot ever. There is so much at stake, and all you can care about is what boy you got feelings for. Why is it every time I try to read YA, that's what ends up happening? It just becomes this useless love triangle or love square. Yet the entirety of the universe, the fabric of time and space, is about to be rent apart, and yet all we can care about is who's my crush today? Atrocious. I could have spent this entire video talking about this series, but there is one that takes the cake, and folks, this is the ugliest of them all. Twilight. The Twilight Saga is the worst thing that I've ever read. And I've read the whole thing! I read this because my sister and I, we did a book swap, we swapped series. And she gave me Twilight as an experiment to see what I would think about it. She felt that she had some against the grain opinions. So she wanted to see me read it and we have a discussion. Well, it turns out we share every single opinion. Worst vampire story ever written. I would rather read Wattpad vampire stories than compared to this drivel. And the fact that Twilight is like the 6th most sold novel of all time makes me want to throw up. What does that say about society? Let's just start with it. Twilight. Boy stalks her and she's okay with it and she falls in love with him like after 2 conversations. The second book is the worst book I've ever read in my entire life. New Moon. The whole premise of the book makes no sense. How is our main character in trouble and why do the only people that can protect her, why do they have to leave? Why does the ending even happen? And then the third book is, it's a little bit better. It's probably the best one of the 4. The story, oh gosh, I remember whole vampire armies coming to this small town to eat this one human. What an awful side quest. But then, oh my gosh, you have the ending. Breaking Dawn. Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called? Breaking Dawn? The 4th book sucked so bad because there's a random pregnancy that doesn't make any sense. Honestly, she breaks a lot of her own rules. She even breaks norms of writing where like you don't change POVs randomly at the end of a story. Well, she does that. That book, this whole series makes me want to just curl up into a ball and die. I will never get that time back. The only positive in reading this series was that I got to spend quality time with my sister talking about books, and we got to film one of the funnest videos that I've ever made. I could spend so much time, but I don't think any of you really need me to justify my position on Twilight. It's just that atrocious, and I'll never get the time back. That's it. That is the good and the bad and the ugly to all the books that I wish I could unread. Some of them for really justifiable reasons, some of them for it was just the wrong time, and some of them were so good that I wish I could experience them for the first time over and over and over and over and over again. Again, if you're interested in Unread, scan this bad boy, do what you gotta do, click the link, use the code, do what you want. Folks, I'll see you in the next one. The next one is gonna be big. I've been filming it for almost a month now, and I cannot wait to share it with you. It is so fun, so stick around for February 21st.